Title: 9-year-old author from Western Australia sells over 100 copies of his book. Description: Bodie Howland, a 9-year-old boy from Exmouth, Western Australia, has published his own book, titled The Love Hearts Explore Exmouth. The book narrates the story of two love hearts that explore his hometown and go on an adventure to the local bakery, fishing, and take a photo at the statue of the Big Prawn. Bodie has already sold over 140 copies of the book, making enough money to buy an electric scooter. His book has been added to the local library's collection, and he's already planning his next storyline. Hashtags. Could these snug homes built in WA open the door to more affordable living? Tiny homes are being posed as the solution to the housing crisis. From a DIY project to a professional business venture, sea containers to steel frames, wheels to skids, here's how some people are building them. Civil and structural engineer David Barker and master carpenter David McDonald have come together under Snug Living to provide affordable and sustainable tiny homes for people to use in multiple environments. Snug Living homes provide 25 square meters of living space and are built on a steel chassis covered with insulation and flooring, and external cladding is placed on like a conventional build. The homes sell for about $115,000 to $120,000. Title: Female firefighters call to step up amid worker shortage in New South Wales. At 25, teacher's aide Caitley Linnett is captain of her local fire and rescue station in Balranald. With only 4 officers in a station that can accommodate 13, she hopes to inspire more women to join the service. "It's a good job for young and stay-at-home mums," she said. "We are recruiting at the moment, so, good time to join and give back to the community." Madison Sesko, who travels more than 2 hours to Balranald from Wentworth Fire Station, said having more women in the New South Wales Fire and Rescue could help culturally diverse groups. Fire and Rescue New South Wales is committed to finding long-term solutions to staff shortages. Title: Putin ally's son escapes U.S. extradition order with the help of a Serbian gang. Artem Us's, the son of a Putin ally, managed to evade extradition from Italy to the U.S. despite facing charges of money laundering and breaking sanctions. The U.S. had hoped to use him for prisoner swaps with Russia, but U.S.'s made a daring escape plan with the help of a Serbian gang. Italian officials made a series of security blunders, and U.S.'s managed to slip through America's fingers. He eventually resurfaced in Russia, and his father thanked President Putin for his support. U.S.'s was allegedly involved in a global procurement, smuggling, and money laundering network. Title: Chef warns against buying wild mushrooms online. A Melbourne-based chef and mushroom forager, Florence Lim, has warned against buying mushrooms advertised and sold online. Ms. Lim found her pine mushroom pictures being used in an advertisement by an online mushroom vendor based in Melbourne and operating on WeChat. The low price and informal sales platform of the mushrooms worried Ms. Lim, who urged people to exercise caution. Experts have warned against consuming wild mushrooms, which are hard to identify and can be toxic. The peak season for finding mushrooms in the wild in Australia is ending, and the Victorian Health Department has advised against picking or eating wild mushrooms. Title: Queensland orchard celebrates record persimmon harvest despite low consumption in Australia. A Queensland orchard has achieved a record persimmon crop, but very few Australians have tried the fruit. The Daltons, who have been growing fruit on their 20-hectare farm in southeast Queensland for decades, said they have never seen a season like this before. Despite drought and flooding rains, this year's harvest has been the best in quality and quantity for the Daltons, producing about 70 tonnes per hectare. However, the majority of the non-Asian population in Australia remains unfamiliar with persimmons. Alison Fuss, Executive Officer of Persimmons Australia, explains the wrong and right way to consume the fruit. Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year shortlist images revealed. The South Australian Museum has released the shortlist for the 2023 Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year competition. A total of 95 photographs, out of 2,182 entries from 550 photographers across 10 countries, made it to the final round. The competition, in its 20th year, encourages photographers to capture stunning images taken in Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica, and New Guinea. This year, a new category was added, which drew awe-inspiring images. The winners of each category and the overall winner will be announced in August. Until then, here's a look at the shortlisted images. Title: Lack of accommodation puts ex-convicts at risk of reoffending. Rebuilding a life after leaving prison is a daunting task, made even harder due to the lack of accommodation options available. For many ex-convicts, securing a rental is a major challenge, making them vulnerable to homelessness and reoffending. According to Mindy Satiri, Executive Director of the Justice Reform Initiative, over 50% of people released from custody do not have access to housing. The problem is exacerbated by soaring rental unaffordability, which is pushing people into the prison system. Without fundamental support, including housing, employment, and healthcare, reintegration into society after prison is an uphill battle. Title: Panthers dominate Roosters in tense NRL game, but Origin star suffers concussion. The Penrith Panthers emerged victorious in their NRL clash with the Sydney Roosters, with a final score of 30-6. However, the win was overshadowed by Liam Martin's head knock, which occurred during the game. Martin's concussion may put his place on the New South Wales State of Origin team for the second game in jeopardy. In other matches, Brisbane narrowly defeated Newcastle 24-20, and St George Illawarra caused an upset with a 36-30 victory over South Sydney. Despite the Panthers' win, the intense game was marred by Martin's injury and a sin binning incident. Title: New York's Canadian wildfire smoke triggers Australian expats' memories of Black Summer. Australian expat and New York resident Eliza Watson has been reminded of the bushfire smoke that plagued Australia during Black Summer, when thick yellow-orange haze shrouded New York City from the smoke of Canadian wildfires. Ms. Watson urges everyone to stay home, stay inside and just wait it out like they did in Australia. The smoke has closed the city's zoos and aquarium, and some Broadway matinees and a Major League Baseball game at Yankee Stadium have been cancelled due to the air quality. NASA reported that the wildfire smoke has traveled as far south as Alabama and is forecast to reach Norway. Alleged Finks Outlaw Motorcycle Club members arrested on drugs and weapons charges. Police have arrested 4 people allegedly linked to the Finks Motorcycle Club, seizing drugs and knuckle dusters as part of a Northeast Victorian investigation into crimes in the Wodonga area. The incidents include an altercation at a West Wodonga address on June 1, which resulted in a man being charged with aggravated burglary, extortion, burglary and committing an indictable offence whilst on bail. Police believe these incidents were targeted. The investigation also includes an alleged assault on a man at the same property on June 5. The 3 men are alleged to be patched members of the Finks. 4 children found alive in Colombian jungle 5 weeks after plane crash. 4 siblings from an indigenous community in Colombia were found alive on Friday, more than 5 weeks after the plane they were traveling in crashed in thick jungle. The children, aged 13, 9, 4, and a 12-month-old baby, were rescued by the military near the border of 2 provinces close to where the small plane had crashed. 3 adults, including the pilot, died as a result of the crash. The children survived the impact and were found weak but alive. Rescuers found discarded fruit and improvised shelters made with jungle vegetation that the children used to survive. Title: U.S. accuses Russia of receiving Iranian drones to attack Ukraine. The White House has accused Russia of deepening its defense cooperation with Iran and receiving hundreds of attack drones to use against Ukraine. The U.S. has declassified information and released satellite imagery of the planned location of a UAV manufacturing plant in Russia's Alabuga Special Economic Zone. White House spokesman John Kirby said the U.S. had information Russia was receiving materials from Iran required to build the drone plant, which could be operational early next year. The US will seek to hold the two countries accountable and impose sanctions on actors involved in the transfer of Iranian military equipment to Russia used in Ukraine. Groundbreaking overhaul of WA's cruel and unfair abortion laws to be put before Parliament. Western Australia is set to introduce new legislation that will overhaul the state's abortion laws. The amendments, based on successful community consultation, aim to streamline access to terminations. The changes include fully decriminalizing abortion, increasing the gestational time limit for procedures from 20 to 24 weeks, abolishing mandatory counseling, and scrapping the need for a GP referral. Health professionals and members of the public overwhelmingly supported the proposed amendments. The legislation is set to be introduced to Parliament before the end of June, and a conscience vote will be required to pass it through the legislature. Energy bills to rise as major retailers announce price hike. Energy bills are set to soar as two major energy retailers, AGL and Origin Energy, confirmed hikes in the coming months. This will result in hundreds of dollars added to the annual average bill. The reason cited for the increase is higher prices due to inflation and higher wholesale costs. Customers on variable rate market contracts in New South Wales, South Australia, and Queensland will be affected from July 1, with Victoria following from August 1. The price increases for residential properties will range from 21% to almost 30%. Both retailers have announced measures to help shield their most vulnerable customers from the price hikes. Missing divers found at sea after search off Tasmania's east coast. Two divers who went missing off Tasmania's east coast have been found safe and unharmed. The 24-year-old woman and 25-year-old man were part of a local dive club's long weekend event and were diving at Alligator Rock when they were swept off course. The alarm was raised after they failed to return as planned. A search and rescue operation was launched and included emergency services, police helicopters, Surf Life Saving Tasmania crews, and civilian vessels and divers. The divers were eventually found 3.6 kilometers offshore by a local civilian vessel that was assisting with the search. Tributes flow for U.S. actor Mike Bataille, dead at 52. The entertainment industry and fans of actor Mike Bataille are in mourning after his sudden death at the age of 52. Known for his roles in Breaking Bad and Detroit Unleaded, Bataille passed away from a heart attack while sleeping at his Michigan home. Beyond the screen, he was a successful comedian who entertained audiences across the globe, including the Amman International Comedy Festival, where he was invited by the royal family of Jordan. Heartfelt messages have poured in from family, friends, and former colleagues on social media. Bataille is survived by his 5 sisters, nieces, and nephews. Title: Woman dies in horror crash in Victoria's East. Description: a woman has died in a car crash in Victoria's East, after the car she was driving veered off the road and into a creek. 2 passengers were also injured in the accident. Police have not yet identified the driver or established the circumstances around the crash. Hashtags. Gallagher denies misleading Parliament over knowledge of Brittany Higgins rape allegation. Senior Labour Minister Katy Gallagher has confirmed she had prior knowledge of some details of a rape allegation made by former Liberal staffer Brittany Higgins but denied she misled Parliament over the issue. The Albanese government has been accused of using the rape allegation and using it against Scott Morrison and the then coalition government in 2021. Claims have been made that Gallagher and fellow Senator Penny Wong used prior knowledge of the allegation to attack the coalition. Gallagher denies these claims and said that she was given the information but did nothing with it. Police investigate after bones, believed to be human, found in small SA town. Police are investigating after bones, believed to be human, were reportedly found on the side of a road in a small town south of Adelaide. SA police said they were called to Paris Creek Road at Strathalbyn on Friday afternoon after reports that bones had been found on the side of a road. Forensic investigators examined the scene, and returned this morning along with Star Group officers, state emergency services volunteers and local patrols who have been searching the area. The bones are believed to be human, but police said they will await the results of forensic testing. Link. Title: Adelaide Aquatic Centre's cost increases by $55 million due to new design features. The South Australian government has announced that the Adelaide Aquatic Centre's cost has increased by $55 million due to significant improvements made to the project's design. The project was initially proposed as an $80 million upgrade before the last state election, but it is now expected to cost taxpayers $135 million over the next 3 years. The new design includes outdoor pools, a learn-to-swim facility, a cafe, gym, and water slides. The existing Adelaide Aquatic Centre will close in August next year, and the new facility will be completed in summer 2025-26. Police say no bodies found in debris of Sydney fire. Some residents will have to wait weeks to return. New South Wales Police have confirmed that no bodies have been found in the debris of the multi-storey building site destroyed by fire last month in Sydney's inner city. The search for human remains began after 2 people were unaccounted for in the aftermath of the fire. But on Saturday, the Operation Centre established to coordinate the cleanup, demolition, and investigation was stood down, as police confirmed that no bodies had been found. More than 140 residents from neighbouring units were displaced by the fire, and some of them will have to wait for weeks to return home. Australia 7 wickets from WTC final victory, but India still alive in unlikely run chase. Australia is close to winning the World Test Championship final, with India still needing a further 280 runs to complete a win. India closed play at 3-164 after Australia had declared its innings at 8-270, setting India a target of 444 to win. Although Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill put the bowlers on the back foot, a stunning catch by Cameron Green gave Australia something to rally around. Nathan Leon caught a sweeping Sharma LBW for a rapid 43, and Cheteshwar Pujara was caught by Alex Carey after attempting a ramp over the slips cordon from a Pat Cummins bouncer. Kohli and Rahane are the not-out overnight batters, giving India just a glimmer of hope. Link. French stabbing suspect charged with attempted murder, as toddler's conditions improve. A 31-year-old Syrian refugee with permanent Swedish residency has been charged with attempted murder and armed resistance, after stabbing 4 young children and 2 adults in a French Alps park. The attack took place on Thursday at a playground in the lakeside town of Annecy. The child victims included 2 French cousins, a 3-year-old British girl visiting Annecy with her parents, and a 22-month-old Dutch girl. The victims are no longer in a life-threatening condition but remain in hospital. Witnesses reported that the suspect mentioned his wife, daughter and Jesus Christ during the attack. The motive for the attack remains unclear. Zelensky acknowledges Ukraine's counteroffensive has begun, as Zaporizhzhia's last nuclear reactor is shut down. Ukraine's military reports intense fighting with Russian forces, while the country's nuclear energy agency says it put the last operating reactor at Europe's largest nuclear power plant into a cold shutdown for safety. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has acknowledged for the first time that counteroffensive operations are taking place across his country. Russia fired missiles and drones at targets across Ukraine in the early hours of Saturday, killing 3 civilians in the Black Sea city of Odessa and a 29-year-old in Kharkiv, as well as striking a military airfield in the central Poltava region, Kyiv authorities said. Kazakhstan forest fires kill 14 with 60,000 hectares of land destroyed. Forest fires in northeastern Kazakhstan have resulted in the death of 14 people and destroyed 60,000 hectares of land, marking the highest such toll in years, according to the Emergency Situations Ministry. The ministry also stated that forest rangers were trapped in the fires, and 316 people have been evacuated. Despite high temperatures and a change in wind direction, the ministry has stated that homes are safe and the situation is under control. Yuri Ilyin, the Emergency Situations Minister, was sacked by Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev earlier today. Russian President Vladimir Putin has offered his condolences to Mr. Tokayev.